Welcome. Putting parents in control of school counseling. Why I support House Bill 2862. For the first time ever, we have a chance to finally regulate school-based mental health services in Arizona, to mandate informed parental consent, transparency, and parental authority. Here's how it works. In a few short hours after Representative Matt Gress dropped HB 2862, and I voiced my unqualified support, I've received pushback from some corners on the right. Won't this lead to more mental health programs? More money to mental health that could be used on instruction? Why not ban mental health programs altogether? Look, I've been researching and writing on this topic for 2 years. Increased spending on mental health programs is negatively correlated with lower academic scores. Tons of independent research studies show these programs neither improve academic outcomes nor prevent depression or anxiety at scale. Money diverted from core academic instruction programs is not just bad spending policy, it's ineffective at even accomplishing what proponents say they do. And, and this is key. School counseling programs have run amok over parental rights. While every district varies, there are too many cases where school staff make secret referrals for service, where students meet one-on-one counseling without parental consent or even knowledge. There are cases of counselors doggedly pursuing a child to enter counseling over the objections of a parent. And once a counselor gets behind closed doors with a student, no one really knows what they do. It's like a black box. What these school counselors and social workers are doing is prohibited in private practice, where strict regulations exist to ensure parents, one, control when and whether to engage a professional at all, and two, receive informed, written consent to treatment that specifies what happens behind those closed doors. So why are they allowed to do it in schools with children? The reason why school districts get away with this now is because school counseling programs are wholly unregulated. Counselors and social workers are typically not board licensed. They're not mandated by law to obtain your consent or refrain from practicing in areas for which they're unqualified. And they're not subject to oversight by a professional health regulatory board with the power to investigate complaints, discipline licensees, and regulate unprofessional and unethical conduct. School mental health personnel just follow district policy. They report to administrators, just like any other educator. If a district doesn't have a policy, they're free to roam the halls looking to identify a child for counseling services that will justify the grant money used to hire them. And because they work in schools, they have almost unfettered access to children. That's wholly unacceptable. Moreover, school boards have no visibility into these programs. They aren't asked whether they want to have them at all. Administrators just bring new hire plans for more counselors and social worker support staff, and boards just rubber stamp them. No one asked the board to actually approve mental health services in the first place. It's just taken for granted that school districts provide them. This puts the administrators in charge, not duly elected board members accountable to the voters. That must change. Again, this is wholly unacceptable. So what can we realistically do? The reality is that school-based mental health programs exist. There's enormous amounts of funding behind them. And in the current political climate, banning them outright is a political non-starter in any state with a Democratic government, a governor holding a veto pen. The Democrat Party is all in on these services, and they are exploiting this unregulated loophole to expand them further. So what's the best realistic alternative to an outright ban? The answer is to regulate them. And that's what House Bill 2862 does. No more secret referrals. No more secret counseling sessions. Here's how. One, school boards are now, for the first time, told they must approve whether a district will provide mental health services to all general education students. Some boards will agree. Some boards will decide to get out of the mental health business. That's foundational to local control. Arizona's a local control state, and for a good reason. 2. If a board elects to provide these services, they must do so in a manner consistent with the fundamental rights of parents to direct their children's upbringing, education, health, and mental care. Parents, not school districts, make those decisions. 3. If a board elects to provide these services, they must implement a long list of policy mandates on parental consent and control that ensures parents are fully informed and sign off on every referral and every intervention, including the following. Even universal screening programs under this bill will require their consent. No more secret tracking of students' mental health by staff that goes into a database somewhere on some software platform for SEL monitoring. If a staff makes a referral for counseling, they must notify the parent and identify the need for an intervention and seek their prior written consent. Before conducting an intervention, staff must prepare for parent approval a written intervention plan that discloses what the intervention is designed to do. That intervention plan must also disclose what methods they expect to use. The plan must disclose what assessments, tests, or other screening tools will be used and explain that parents have a right to obtain copies of those screening tools in advance for their approval. The plan must also disclose who is providing the intervention, what are their qualifications, and if they're unlicensed by a professional board, a statement that they are unlicensed and not qualified to diagnose or treat a mental condition. The plan must disclose who they will share information with about the interventions and their contact details. The plan must disclose that if they're using software to track mental health, all that data will be available to the parent for inspection. The plan must disclose, if applicable, that a district is using a student intern who hasn't even graduated from college yet. The plan, finally, must disclose that a parent can withdraw their consent at any time and pull out of the intervention. These are common sense regulatory mandates that keeps a parent in control, that keeps a parent's authority at the forefront of how these mental health services are delivered. There's a lot more in the bill, including a description on the website. If they are offering mental health services, they're going to prominently and conspicuously notice on that website that they have school counselors and social workers who may not be licensed by the State Board of Behavioral Health and therefore may not engage in the practice of behavioral health, may not diagnose or treat any mental condition. A disclaimer will also specify that school psychologists are not required to be licensed by the Board of Psychologist Examiners, and that interns working at the district are really just fulfilling part of their course of study at a university. Because mental health services implicate the fundamental rights of parents, violations of these policies shall be grounds for discipline, including suspension, termination, and potentially referral to the State Board of Ed for unprofessional conduct. Parents will also have a right to bring a lawsuit for violation of parental rights. Finally, House Bill 2862 recognizes that students may on their own seek out counseling services. But the bill mandates that unless the student is a victim of conduct that rises to the level of mandatory reporting, the school must go back to the parent and obtain their written consent on an intervention plan. The parent maintains control, absent rising to the level of mandatory reporting conduct. Same with students that are in immediate danger to self or others. School mental health staff can attend to the immediate danger without calling home, but if they refer the student to counseling, again, they must go through all the notifications, disclosures, and written consent procedures I have just outlined. No more secret referrals. No more secret counseling sessions. Unless the child is being abused, as defined in the statutes by the mandatory reporting laws, in which case law enforcement is going to be called in, the parent maintains authority and control. That's why I'm supporting House Bill 2862, and I hope you will too. Thank you.